With Lightfall came one of the best new subclasses, Strand. People were going crazy trying to find what works and how to make the best Strand builds available. We saw everything from the grapple rocket spamming to poison suspend builds. Today, we're looking at one of the builds that seems to have fallen to the wayside, even though it's incredibly powerful, and that is the Khepri's Horn build. With this build, we're taking the power that comes with light and mixing it with the control that comes with darkness. Let's jump right on into it. Khepri's Horn is a unique exotic in the sense that most exotics that offer subclass-based buffs basically force you into using that subclass. Lorelei, Point Contact, and Ursa are just naming a few. Khepri's Horn is special because it makes your barricade send out a wave of solar energy that does damage and scorches targets. This means we can use any of our subclasses and our barricades will do extra damage. While having the extra damage is good, where it really shines is when you get solar kills. You're getting refunded a whopping 25% of your barricade back. Not only does our class ability already have a short cooldown of 38 seconds for Rally Barricade, but now if we get as little as 2 solar kills with our barricade or our solar weapons, our cooldown drops to only 19 seconds, which means you'll have your barricade back before your previous one even runs out. Because of this insane cooldown time, we can now start putting the pieces together and create a machine that runs on cycling our abilities and causing massive amounts of damage. And you pair this with the ability to suspend anything that doesn't get killed in the process, control, and decimation. Remember to leave a like if you found this video helpful, and if you like seeing builds like this and other helpful Destiny 2 content, hit that subscribe button. Let's get right into it. Looking at the super and the abilities. For our super, we're taking Blade Fury. It's the only option you have, but it does a great job for ad clearing. Next up, we're taking Rally Barricade. It does have a shorter cooldown and gives us increased reload speed, which is going to be awesome for not only getting our barricade back even quicker, but also reloading our weapons to kill as many suspended targets as possible. We're also taking Strafe Lift. Pick whichever jump you want. For our melee, we're taking Frenzied Blade. This is our only option, but it does a great job. We also get 3 of them, so it's awesome. For our grenade, I'm taking the Grapple Grenade, and I'm choosing it for a few reasons. It counts as both a grenade and a powered melee when you use the melee at the end of the grapple. This is important for the mods that we're choosing later. It actually does decent damage and can help you get out of a sticky situation. Also, it's fun to swing around like Spider-Man. For harder content like GMs, I'd recommend the Shackle Grenade, since it can be hard to fly into a group of adds in harder content. You'll just immediately get burned. For our aspects, I'm choosing Into the Fray. This makes it so that when we destroy a tangle, we're granting us and nearby allies Woven Mail. And while we have Woven Mail, our melee regeneration is increased. So not only do we have another way to give ourselves Woven Mail, but whenever we do have that extra damage resistance, our melees are going to come back even quicker, which is going to help feed the machine. We're also choosing Drengr's Lash. This makes it so that when we use our barricade, it'll send out a suspending wave in front of it. And this is where the magic truly happens. Now, when you activate your barricade, not only will you suspend targets in front of you, you also send out a wave of solar energy, damaging and scorching those targets. For our fragments, first up, we're taking Thread of Warding. It's one of the best fragments for Strand because whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, we're granted Woven Mail. We create a ton of orbs, so we should almost always have Woven Mail. This plus, whenever we do get a tangle, we can throw it at our feet or our allies to give them Woven Mail as well. We're also taking Thread of Continuity. This makes it so our Suspend, Unravel, and Sever all have increased duration. We will be suspending a lot, and having that extra time that they're in the air can be helpful. Not to mention, there are a few ways to get Unravel, so it will be nice to have that extra time with Unravel. We're also taking Thread of Generation, making it so that when we deal damage, we generate grenade energy. This is good since our grapple already has a short cooldown. Now when we deal any damage, we'll get it back even quicker. And finally, we're taking Thread of Mind, making it so when we defeat suspended targets, we're granted class ability energy back. This isn't 100% needed, though many other aspects aren't much more helpful. Thread of Finality might be interesting if you like doing finishers, since you'll be able to create threadlings and it gives an extra 10 in recovery. Now let's take a look at our armor mods. For our helmet, I like to do a Solar Siphon, making it so that when we get rapid kills with our solar weapons, we create orbs. I'm also going to take Dynamo, making it so when we use our barricade near targets, we're granted super energy. Since we will be trying to pop our barricade as much as possible, this is just going to help us get our supers a little bit quicker, which are good for ad clearing and damage on tougher targets. I'm also taking Hands On, making it so that our powered melee kills grant super energy. And remember, when you use your grapple, it will be counted as a powered melee when you use the melee afterwards. If you can't afford Dynamo because of the mods that you want to choose for your stats, then I'd take another Hands On instead. For our arms, I'm taking Heavy Handed, making it so powered melee blows create orbs. This is going to not only count for our actual powered melee, but also for our grapple, making it so that we can create a ton of orbs. This plus using the solar weapon Siphon, we're going to be creating orbs left and right. Also going to take Focusing Strike. This grants class ability energy when you damage with your powered melee. It does have a 7-second cooldown, so you don't want to spam all 3 of your powered melees back to back to back. I'm also taking Impact Induction, which grants grenade energy whenever you damage with your powered melee. Again, feeding our grenade and our class ability whenever we do use our melee. This also has a 7-second cooldown. For our chest, I'm taking 3 resistance mods. I usually take 2 different elements and then either a concussive dampener or melee damage resistance. It mainly depends on whatever content you're doing, so pair it well with whatever you're running. For our legs, I like to take 2 solar weapon surges, making our weapons gain an additional 17% damage, as well as recuperation, giving us back 70 health whenever we pick up an orb. So now we're creating a ton of orbs, and whenever we do pick up those orbs, we're powering up our solar weapons as well as gaining a little bit of extra health back. And finally, for our mark, I'm taking Powerful Attraction, making it so we pick up nearby orbs whenever we use our barricade, which is again going to be very often. I'm also taking Time Dilation, making it so our decaying armor charge lasts a little bit longer. We're using this for our weapon surge so that it goes from a 30-second cooldown all the way up to a 45-second cooldown whenever you pick up 3 orbs. And finally, I'm taking Bomber, making it so that it reduces our grenade cooldown whenever we use our barricade. We're trying to feed both our barricade and our grenade as much as possible. Since we do get 3 separate melee charges, it's easy to charge those back up, especially since whenever you do get Woven Mail, your melee recharges even quicker. So your melee is going to feed into your grenade and your barricade's going to feed back into your grenade, and your grenade, since it is a grapple, is going to feed back into, you guessed it, your barricade. For the seasonal artifact, since Season 21 is coming to an end, I won't go into too much detail on which artifact mods to pick, but the main ones can be the authorized mods for both Strand and Melee, along with the 3 Strand-based mods. Now let's take a look at what weapons we might want to run with this build. Typically, we want to run either Kinetic Solar or Stasis Solar Stasis. Since we are taking advantage of our surge mods, I mostly like to run Kinetic Solar. That way we're getting our primary and our heavy weapon buffed. You can alternatively run either Stasis in both the first and heavy slot or Strand in both of those slots. That way you can put on either a Stasis or Strand surge to buff both your special and your heavy weapons. It mainly depends on what activity you're doing. When we get better Strand heavy weapons in the future, you can actually run Threat of Propagation instead of Threat of Mind, making it so that when you get a powered melee kill, your Strand weapons gain unraveling rounds, making targets take more damage. This means heading into a boss phase, you can use your power melee to kill a target and you'll be doing much more damage. With that being said, for our kinetic slot, I like to take a heavy hitter and whatever's best for the activity. I like to take Izanagi's or Wither Horde whenever I'm doing raids or raid-like boss phases. These do a ton of damage and are great for boss damage. If I'm not doing raids, Succession and Heritage are both great since they can come with recombination and some sort of auto-loading holster. If you don't have either of these, you can honestly use whatever you want as a heavy hitter. Another great option is the Conditional Finality. Conditional Finality is actually interesting because it comes with both Stasis and Solar, which can help recharge our barricade, plus we can pair it with a Stasis Heavy to get that extra Stasis Surge mod. For our energy slot, I love to take SMGs with this build since we are using a barricade a ton, which means we're going to be up close and personal with a decent amount of ads. SMGs are great in these scenarios since you can melt. A few options can be the Callous Mini Tool, Bug Out Bag, or No Survivors. You definitely want a solar weapon so you can take advantage of getting those solar kills to recharge your barricade. I like to try to pair these with Subsistence and some sort of damage perk. Incandescent isn't necessary, but it is kind of helpful as well. Depending on whatever content you're doing, if you're trying to stay back a little bit further, the Amit AR2, the Staccato 46, and the BXR 55 are all great options for range. There are a few great exotics for this slot as well. Sunshot, Polaris Lance, Tiku's Divination, and Skyburner's Oath are all great options depending on whatever situation you're running. Remember, you do want to take a solar weapon in this slot. That way we're taking advantage of getting our barricade back even quicker. Since every time you get a kill, you'll get about 25% back for your barricade. There does seem to be a small delay between how much it can activate, but it's still awesome to take advantage of. For our heavy, because we're going kinetic, solar, I'm choosing to take either the Apex Predator, Cataclysmic, or Briars. Since they all are legendary and do a ton of damage in boss DPS, we can pair this with something like Sunshot and absolutely decimate the field. A few good exotics are going to be the Xenophage, Sleeper, and Galley. All are great for damage phases and for champions. For our ad clearing options, Heir Apparent, Unwavering Duty, and Avalanche are all exceptional at ad clearing and great options for running for most activities. This build just feels good. It has a good balance of power, control, gunplay, and ability spam. You can easily cycle through your abilities and do a ton of damage, and in the process suspend targets, which can be great for dealing with tougher enemies like champions. At the same time, you'll be creating orbs, which will be powering up your weapon so you can melt with a primary or even do more damage in a DPS phase on a boss. I'm shocked that this build has seemed to fall to the wayside for so many. This build, in my opinion, is stronger than the Abiant Leap build. Yes, the Abiant Leap build sends out more suspending waves to suspend more targets. However, with this build, you can do the same thing on a smaller scale and add in more damage. Plus, you're getting your barricade back way quicker, sending out more suspending waves and giving you more ways to cycle abilities. Because of how short the cooldowns are, you can continuously cycle through abilities left, right, and center, which makes this build almost like a Hoyle build, but we're doing even more damage with it. Let me know your thoughts of the build. What would you change or how would you improve it? If you like this video and want to see more content like this, smash the like button and subscribe. That's it for me. Peace out.